This evening, we are going to discuss some important concepts. In the third chapter of the book, it is entitled Corruption versus Bribery. The chapter deals with the fundamental concept, the difference between corruption and bribery. Corruption implies an intensive effort to manipulate government for the general good. There is a clear understanding that a large profit will be involved with the subsequent development of jobs, new business efforts, further investments, and improvement of society's well-being. Those instigating the corrupt act must by definition be of a higher social order than those being corrupted. Since in a republic the highest order of activity is making money, it therefore follows that the businessman will usually be at the core of most corrupt activities. This is as it should be, facilitating the continued accumulation of additional profits, which serves to enrich all members of the community by the development of new products, jobs, increased payment of taxes to increased governmental activities. This in turn leads to more individuals to corrupt and thence more good. Bribery, on the other hand, bears the connotation of evil. It is invariably involves a selfish act befitting no one but the briber, and to a small extent the bribee, which in turn makes turning the briber down or turning him in much easier. Now we must be careful to clarify some things about the social order to avoid confusion. One is not classified solely according to his or her paycheck. For example, if one offers money to a sanitation officer who has just cited him for leaving his garbage can uncovered, that is a bribe and should be condemned. It doesn't matter if the offender is a businessman, a dentist, school teacher, and so forth, since the inspector represents a higher order of society. For example, sanitation workers in general. And the bribe has nothing to do with the briber's business interests. Suppose, however, a series of uncovered garbage cans were used to create a smell bad enough to induce a certain group of tenants to vacate an apartment house so it could be raised to construct a new tire factory. If under these conditions the sanitation inspector received a bit of financial help in buying a new house, then it's absolutely acceptable and perhaps even desirable under the circumstances. Think of the widespread use of tires in the society and the number of jobs provided. A staggering advantage over a few tenants who probably wouldn't want to live near a tire factory anyway. A force for good. Here's a story to which will illustrate the points we just discussed. It's about a police force. Tom Dolan muttered to himself in the locker room as he put the final touches on his uniform. I don't know how I'm going to tolerate another fucking briefing from that fucking lieutenant. He visualized himself sacking out on one of the back seats at the station house. That bastard catches me again, he'll have my balls. Cut it out, Tom, said Sonny the Leech. That cocksucker's got to do something for a living. Sonny was 22 years old, dark and handsome, but short, 5'9" in height, with slick black hair. He contrasted sharply to the 6'3" heavier Dolan. He had been teamed with the more experienced Dolan over the past 10 months. They made a good pair. Tom's curses rolled off Sonny easily, and they seemed to take each other's criticisms without animosity. Tom lectured incessantly about the evils of the force, and Sonny, not believing any of that crap, agreed with all the comments. Actually, Sonny's real name was Salvatore Leachiani, and the Leech stemmed from the fact that no one at the station house could pronounce his name. For 3 months, the men searched for a short nickname, and the ideal one presented itself in August of the previous year. Sonny had made a collar on some old drunk who was walking around the neighborhood shops with mirrors taped to his shoes, looking up the dresses of a various assortment of clerks, secretaries, and housewives, when Sonny spotted him. Unfortunately, in applying the handcuffs, Sonny had got one cuff caught in the margin of his pants pocket. Not willing to admit his mistakes, he brought the guy in, keeping his left leg locked around the prisoner's right thigh. Of course, the drunk was excited by the whole prospect, and it wasn't until Tom Dolan slipped Sonny the key that they got disentangled. Tom kept his mouth shut, and the two became close friends from then on. Of course, the nickname was applied instantly by Benny Lampert, the station's recording sergeant, who was thoroughly impressed by the vigilance and determination of the cop in not letting his prisoners have sufficient breathing room. Benny couldn't understand, however, why the drunk kept smiling all through the booking. Sonny was a native Brooklynite, having grown up in Bensonhurst. He came from a large family, 6 brothers and 6 sisters. But he was his father's favorite. He was always bright and smiling, as the oldest of the children, and therefore the peacemaker. He dreamed of becoming a cop. When he was 11 years old, his father, who owned a .45 automatic, took him shooting. It was a cloudy, drab day when the two of them drove out to Queens. The range was in the basement of a sporting goods store that displayed a wide variety of handguns. The noise as they entered was deafening, the blast ringing off the walls of the narrow range. Sonny's father handed him a pair of earmuffs. There were 6 slots for shooting, and at each of these were a broad wooden bar in which the shooters displayed their guns and ammunition. A wire ran down the length of each slot on which a paper target was hung, and then by pulling the wire over a pulley, they could be set at a desired distance. The image on the targets was usually some bad guy with circles and numbers outlining his torso. Within a week of their first visit, Sonny could take the gun apart, clean it, and reassemble it. Local cops would often come to the range to practice. When off duty, most could try out a variety of handguns that they collected. Sonny loved the atmosphere and talking to the off-duty officers. That clinched it. He was going to be a cop. Assignment to the precinct with Dolan was perfect, a bonus. He determined that going along with the rules of the Brotherhood was the road to success, and he wasn't going to let anything interfere with his career. The officers filed out of the locker room and grabbed seats at the scattered wooden folding chairs facing the large district map. Pins of different colors marked the local crime locations reported during the past week. The loud din gradually subsided as Lieutenant John Crockett, the Crotch, as labeled by Benny, slowly entered the room. It was clear at once that he was going to have trouble negotiating the short step onto the platform when Benny firmly grasped his elbow and led to the small podium in front of the map. "Get your fucking hands off me, you prick," he muttered as he stumbled up and leaned heavily on the lectern. "Cocksucker," murmured Tom, and 4 neighboring cops nodded in agreement. "I have a major announcement to make to you, gentlemen," started Crockett. "We have received a special commendation from the New York Times for the decrease in assault and rape rate in our district. The diligence and hard work of the members of this station house received a notice of the Commissioner, and congratulatory notices have been placed in the files of every member of this precinct. Keep up the good work, and more commendations will be forthcoming." "What the fuck is he talking about?" whispered John Banks, who had singly brought in 4 girls the previous night who were victims of a gangbang. on 14th Street. Tom turned to him and said, "The idiot lost all the green pins last month. He's been sticking a map with yellow ones. He ain't saying anything about the embezzlement rate, which tripled over the same time. We'll be flooded with those non-uniform types from Central if he keeps that shit." Crockett continued, "The Times is considering offering a special award to the benefit fund in our names if we can do the same thing for muggings over the next month. Tell Benny to dump the red pins. We'll make a fucking fortune. In fact, hide them all for a week and we can take a vacation," said Tom quietly. They began a street-by-street outline of the crimes committed during the past 24 hours. 2 murders on 18th Street, 3 on 2nd Avenue, 2 assaults on 23rd Street, a hit and run at 14th Street and 3rd, 3 robberies, and so forth. By the time